I recently acquired a Chromebook mostly out of curiosity because I've heard a lot about them, and I thought it was probably some would be some benefit for me to learn more about them. So it's been described by many people, or these that I know, that it's the ultimate couch computer. So let's say you need a new notebook for everything from gaming and keeping up with social media to doing a little homework here and there. Up until a few years ago, the conventional wisdom suggested that Windows machines are the best laptops. Now, however, Chromebooks have caught up so much that they are viable competitors for many buyers. From size, weight, and security to apps, performance, and battery life, each platform has its advantages and disadvantages. On the other hand, Windows laptops and Chromebooks appear to be getting closer and closer to each other's strengths while reducing their weaknesses. So what is a Chromebook? Chromebooks are lightweight laptops that depend heavily on Google Chrome. While you have OS-specific features like File Manager, App Launcher, Taskbar, and so on, most of your work and play resides within the Chrome tab. This Chrome dependency translates to low overhead, enabling a super fast startup and snappy performance on even the most low-end hardware. In other words, the ultimate couch computer. The core functions of Chromebooks, like all pure Android installs, it focuses on Google services like Gmail, YouTube, Maps, and Docs. You can install web-based Chrome apps from the Chrome Web Store and now Android apps from the Google Play Store. Many require an internet connection, but some can function very well offline. Chromebooks are primarily designed for use while connected to the internet and sign into a Google account. Now, your Google account is your Gmail address and password. That is the key to get in any Google software. So just keep that in mind. So instead of installing traditional applications such as word processing and instant messaging, users add web apps from the Chrome Web Store. Google claims that a multi-layer security architecture eliminates the need for antivirus software. While Chromebooks are designed to be used when connected to the internet, users are able to access Google apps such as Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Keep, Google Drive in an offline mode. Chromebooks also come with a built-in local music player, a photo editor, and a PDF and Microsoft Office document viewer that functions without internet access. Other applications with offline support includes the Amazon Cloud Reader, the New York Times app, and the game Angry Birds. Google Play video content is available offline using a Chrome browser extension. So what are the pieces that comprise the basic software on a Chromebook? First, Google Chrome. This is your browser. It allows you to view web pages and performs most tasks for you on your Chromebook. Files. This app allows you to manage your files on your Chromebook, Google Drive account, and any external media you have plugged in. It's very similar to Windows File Explorer. Google Docs is a very feature-rich word processing program. Google Drawings allows you to draw images as well as diagrams with simple shapes. Google Sheets is a full-featured spreadsheets program. Google Slides allows you to create presentations for business. Google Forms, event registration, opinion polls, create and analyze surveys. Google My Maps maps out virtually any trip, complete with stops using Google Maps. Web Store. Accesses to the Google Web Store allows you to browse thousands of apps, themes, and plugins, many of those that are free. And of course, there's the Google Play Store. Your Chromebook can now run Android apps. This gives you access to that store and hundreds of thousands of apps and games, both free and paid for, covering just about every possible interest. The addition of the million of Android apps has dramatically increased the platform's value. Most modern Chromebooks come with the Google Play Store out of the box, which allows you to quickly install most of your favorite Android apps. If your Chromebook was introduced in 2017, it's guaranteed to run most Android apps. If you're not sure if your Chromebook qualifies, Google provides an extensive list that you can check. Google rolls out Android compatibility on a device-by-device basis, so it's a good idea to find your specific model if possible. Stretching the limits, that's what we wanted to discuss, because Chromebooks have their strengths, but they also have their weaknesses. At first glance, the biggest flaw is the inability to install traditional desktop software. For instance, there doesn't appear to be any means to install editing applications like Adobe Photoshop or GIMP. To compensate, there are plenty of Android and Chrome OS apps that can fill the niches typically taken by Windows and other Mac OS desktop apps. If you're a prolific Google product user, all of those services and apps are entwined with Chrome OS. However, the problem lies with those who want and need more than that comes from Chromebook. So we're going to talk about the beauty of Chrome extensions. We all know that Google Chrome is a popular web browser, and if you're looking for something exciting to prove your way of using Chrome, Chrome extensions helps a Chromebook emulate a desktop experience. The Chrome browser is part and parcel of the Chrome OS. Web extensions designed for the browser also work in the OS. Extensions literally extend the capability of your Chromebook. So what I want to do is we want to turning my couch computer into a powerhouse with extensions. And we do that because Chromebook specifications often seem weak compared to their Windows laptop counterparts. That's because they don't need to be super powerful. Chrome OS was never intended to run desktop software or, for that matter, Android apps. Your Chromebook starts new and stays new over time. With automatic updates in the background, your device gets the latest software without interrupting you. There are 3 Chrome extensions that are important to turn your couch computer into a powerhouse. Those are the Google Remote Desktop, the Microsoft Office extensions, and the RealTabSync. Now, what you're looking at actually is the Google Remote Desktop. I'm actually using the remote desktop to connect to my desktop computer that has this PowerPoint presentation on it. So it's running, even though I'm running it on a Chromebook, it is actually coming from another device. So let's look at the Chrome Remote Desktop. What is it? A Chrome browser extension on your Chromebook, and allows you to remotely connect and control your devices from another location. The app was developed and published by Google. And once you're signed in, you have complete access to the remote computer from your Chromebook. From your Chromebook, you can use the remote computer as if you were sitting in front of it, such as I'm doing today. You can execute and use programs that are not available on your Chromebook, view, manage, and save files, read, write, send emails from that remote computer. In addition to that, you can also install the Microsoft Office extension. And that is the Office browser extension, puts an icon on the Microsoft Edge or Chrome toolbar that gives you direct access to your Office files, whether they are stored online on your computer or not. You get the features of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Sway right in your browser without Office being installed. And as you can see here, here's the little toolbar that will show when you click on the extension. So you click on the Microsoft extension using your Microsoft account. Once signed in, you now have complete access to the full Microsoft Office suite. From your Chromebook, you can use the mobile version, view, manage, and save documents. Documents are saved to OneDrive, making it available for all of your computers on your network. So you can start working on a document on your Chromebook using this Office extension. It's saved to OneDrive. You can later go to another device and pull that same document up and work on it or complete it. Another thing that we can use is what's now been called the RealTabSync. And that keeps the same tabs on all your machines. If we're talking about the browser. Tab changes are applied in real time on all your devices, including Chromebooks. The extension watches for tab changes and synchronizes them in real time across your computers that have it enabled. Chrome on Android does not support extensions yet. You need to enable synchronization in the Chrome settings. So how do we use it? You can toggle the synchronization on and off from the extension icon. That's the little green circle with the arrows. The extension works in unison with the Chrome on start settings. If you choose to open a new tab, it will start with a new tab and sync the tabs from other computers or a previous session in the background. If you choose continue where I left off, our set of pages will merge them with the sync tabs. Windows and tab positions and size can be individual on each device, as the synchronization only For those that have an interest in photo editing, is it really for Chromebooks? One of the questions that are asked about Chromebooks is, can I use Photoshop? The answer to that is no, at least not the full version you'll find on other platforms. But that doesn't mean you can't do photo editing. And that really is the key here, knowing when you need Photoshop versus when you need something to edit photos. There are some powerful tools available for Chromebooks, perhaps not quite as powerful as Photoshop, but they can get pretty close for most uses. So the photo editing with your Chromebook, the nice thing about photo editing is that it doesn't require an insane amount of horsepower on the computer side. It's pretty easy to run a web browser and let the server handle most of the heavy lifting. As a result, one of the best photo editors for your Chromebook is a toolbar called Plexer Editor. If you're interested in retouching photos, there's cool filters that, like the Plexer, will probably leave you wanting. But there's Polar, which is great for these kinds of tweaks. The interface is different from what you may have come to expect from a photo editor, which is one of the things that makes it really good. It's a very text and premium filters. While once upon a time, Polar offered a pro version for a one-time flat fee, it now costs $23.99 a year or $249 a month. Seems like everybody's getting into this subscription business, but still it's an exceptional, well-made app, so it's worth it. Adobe Apps to the rescue? Well, maybe. Using the Chrome remote access that we have talked about previously to interface with Adobe Apps installed on another device, there is also, that's one way of being able to use it, There are also Android app versions of the Adobe Lightroom, Illustrator, and much more. And of course, one of the big things is that you can watch movies on your Chromebook. You can download your flicks for remote use. You can store movies and show just like you download music files to your Chromebook. With the Google Play Movie and TV Chrome extension installed, click on the launcher, click Play Movies, and under any TV episode or movie in your library, click on the download icon and you're all set. It looks like a down arrow. Using apps such as Skype and Google Assistant, makes Chromebooks like the little computing engine that could. You can hold remote meetings with friends, family, coworkers with Skype and Zoom. Of course, you can use run-of-the-mill standbys like Facebook, YouTube, Netflix, WhatsApp, and all the Google Suite apps like Drive, Calendar, and Gmail on or offline. But you can also rock with Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, yes. Dozens of news and sports apps such as Kindle, Tumblr, Steam, PlayStation Now, Twitch, Mint, PayPal, and thousands of more. Have you always wanted a voice assistant? Well, you're in luck because Chromebook can run the Google Assistant with all the shopping listing, reminder creating, and smart home control that it implies. And it's built right into the operating system. Do you like using shortcuts? You can press Control-Alt+ and simultaneously open a window listing all the keyboard shortcuts divided into 6 categories. You also, if you want to see all your windows and desktops you have open on one screen, you can simply swipe 3 fingers down on your touch screen or trackpad to activate that mode. Virtual desktops, like Windows and Mac OS, Chromebooks have the native ability to create new virtual desktops. This allows you to assign different groups of windows to different desktops, arranging more complicated projects effortlessly without getting them too confused or overloading any single desktop. To do that, you just add a virtual desktop, you just press Shift plus Search and simultaneously, or you can use 3 fingers to swipe down on your touch screen or trackpad. Alternatively, press the Show Windows button or F5. Step 2, tap or click the new desk located in the upper right corner, and you'll see the new desktop listed next to your original desktop in a ribbon running along the top edge of your screen. You can delete a virtual desktop by clicking the X on the desktop thumbnail. And here's an example. At the bottom, you have the 2 screens. At the top, it shows the desktops that are being used. Very similar to Windows. You also can multitask. Like Snap Assistant in Windows 10, Chrome OS allows you to snap windows to sides of your display, essentially splitting your screen into 2. You can have a browser open on the left and Google Docs open on the right.
To create a new Google Doc, open the Google Docs app. In the bottom right, click Create to start a new doc or template. To learn more about using Google Docs, click Google Docs Help Center below.
There is a good example of the assistant giving us all kinds of good information. You can have the browser open on the left and the docs open on the right, filling the entire screen. No stacked or floating windows. And there's an example. If you want to do a screenshot, you can work differently on every operating system. You can get frustrating if you are switching to a Chromebook keyboard as it doesn't support the print screen key. But fear not, taking a screenshot is just as easy, just slightly different. Control, switch window, which is F5, and you get the screenshot. So what do I like about Chromebooks? First, the security. Google controls the Chromebook for the Chromebook ecosystem. It keeps a tight grip on security and frequent updates its code based on to stay a step ahead of the hackers. Battery life. Chromebooks are great for people who are on the go who spends a day away from the AC outlet. You can typically get anywhere between 8 and 9 hours of battery life. And the startup time, Chromebooks excel in an ability to start up in a few seconds, making them great for stop-and-go computing that dominates our digital lives. Size and weight. With lower hardware requirements, the typical Chromebook weighs a few ounces lighter and can be a few tenths of an inch thinner than most comparable PC systems. And of course, recycling. Chromebooks have the ability to power wash the system in a few minutes to wipe it clean of your files and bring it back the way it was when it left the factory. If you like living on the bleeding edge, you can switch between stable, beta, and developing software. You can test the latest features of the Chrome OS by switching to a more experimental software channel. Chrome OS has 3 different software channels. The stable channel. This channel is fully tested by the Chrome OS team and is the best choice to avoid crashes and other problems. It's updated roughly every 2 to 3 weeks with minor changes and every 6 weeks for major changes. So each time you open the lid of your Chromebook, you're going to get a fresh copy of the Chrome OS. Then there's the beta channel to view upcoming changes and improvements with low risk. It's updated roughly every week with major updates coming every 6 weeks, more than a month before the stable channel gets them. You can test the latest features of the OS by switching to a more experimental development channel or devs channel, and it gets updated once or twice a week. While this build is tested, it might have bugs as we want people to see what's new as soon as possible. So what happens when things go wrong? Well, we know Chromebooks are a great budget-friendly laptop. They aren't perfect. Any laptop computer is bound to have flaws. And some of the most common problems faced by Chromebook users can feel difficult or even impossible to solve on your own. From issues with updates to internet connectivity, troubleshooting your common Chromebook problems doesn't have to ruin your day. So here's some easy fixes to the most frequent issues Chromebook users face. Your Chromebook runs really slow. If your Chromebook feels sluggish, your best bet is to just restart and see if the performance issue cleared. If your Chromebook keeps restarting, this is a very serious error that indicates a problem with the OS. If this happens, you need to perform a full recovery, which attempts to save as much data as possible. If you've tried updating your Chromebook with either error, you can resolve this by checking your internet connection. Ideally, you'll want a strong Wi-Fi connection or Ethernet connection. You don't use your data connection for updates, as it's used your monthly allotment often calls for those error messages. So if you have a Chromebook that has a data plan attached to it, then you might want to be sure that you're on the Wi-Fi. If you try to download an important update and it won't work, your attempt to download the same day several times, just try rebooting. If you can't sign into your Chromebook without getting errors, there are many different error messages you can get when signing into a Chromebook. Rather than go through each of them, I suggest that you use the Google Handy walkthrough for dealing with these errors one at a time. Getting a printer to work has always been a huge problem with Chromebooks, and this might be a barrier to success. But you need to the Google Cloud Print to successfully print. It's not a problem for Chromebooks, but the cloud-ready printers are hit and miss. Find a cloud-ready printer for the best results. Bluetooth isn't connecting. First, keep in mind that all Chromebooks include Bluetooth, so check the product specification. If available, the icon appears on the pop-up menu. You click on the system clock. A blue icon means that the Bluetooth component is enabled, while a gray icon shows it's disabled. Click the gray icon if the Bluetooth is disabled. I can't use Word docs on my Chromebook. If you recently switched to a Chromebook and you're having trouble accessing your old documents, there are several workarounds. Google's first suggestion is naturally to use Google Docs. The best option, however, if your Chromebook allows it, is to download the Microsoft Word Android app from Google Play. This app functions just as it does on the Android or the iOS, so you should feel right at home. One of the deals that you probably read, like most software, there's a time when there's what we call the end of life. And that's when a product no longer receives updates. Well, this is also true for Chromebooks. It's inevitable and could be a lot sooner than you think. So what you need to do is to see the Chromebook schedule for the end of life date. According to Google, each Chromebook is guaranteed for a minimum of 5 years of updates after the product's original release date, not to be confused with the time of purchase. Each 6 weeks during that time, Google provides automatic security and feature updates. So in summary, I love my Chrome OS because it makes great use of Google's services and because there's next to no learning curve. Anyone can pick up a Chromebook and know how to immediately use it because of using the Chrome browser. However, simplicity is the OS's biggest strengths and weaknesses. You can't work comfortably on a Chromebook without leaning on a Windows PC for support, such as I'm doing today. That means that other more pertinent needs in graphics and design, gaming, and web development certainly can't pull off the switch. Nevertheless, I will continue to use unapologetically my Chromebook. I still think it is the ultimate couch computer. Here are some resources that you might want to check out. How to use your Chromebook. There's tips and how-tos. The best Chromebooks available now. The best Chromebook games. Should I buy a Chromebook? Buying guide and advice. Chromebooks versus Windows 10 laptops. What should you buy? Chromebooks versus tablets. Which should you buy? The best Chromebook tips and tricks. So with that, I will take some questions.
Well, thank you so much for the great presentation. I know that you are really loving your Chromebook. It's time for some questions now. The first one is, if Power Wash is used to remove data from the Chromebook for recycling, is there a way to keep it from removing anything from the cloud?
Thank you, Judy, for that question. And yes, I really do like my Chromebook, and I'm learning more about it each day. And the thing that's really fascinating is the Power Wash feature. The answer to your question is resetting a Chrome OS device using Power Wash wipes all your user accounts and locally stored content. In order to preserve any saved files, you only need to move them to your Google Drive folder or your Google account and wait for all to sync up and then proceed with the reset. All in all, wiping a Chrome OS device isn't all that intrusive, as most of what you store on it is stored in the cloud. Signing into a reset device will sync all your previous settings, returning the device to a familiar state.
Thanks. I'm going to turn this one into personal for me. If I were to go out and buy a Chromebook, what features would you suggest that I look for so I can get the one that will work for me?
Well, again, Purchase of a computer always is a personal choice, and there's a lot of choices with Chromebooks. And the features that I chose for myself is I wanted a touch screen, and I also wanted one that had that is called a 2-in-1 convertible. In other words, the lid can be folded to make it a tablet, and have a writing stylus. Performance-wise, there's a lot of variety processors to consider. We get everything from an i3 to an i7. They may make a considerable difference in performance as well as price. All your choices depend on what you plan on doing with your Chromebook. If you want to do more than browsing and email, consider more memory and a faster processor.
Is there a way to check for the end of life date in a Chromebook settings?
That's an interesting question. I don't think a lot of people are aware of that particular issue, but Chromebooks do have an end of life date. And to check it, a user just needs to navigate to the settings menu via the systems tray, click on About Chrome OS, Additional Details. Here, users will see the end of life date for their device. If the user clicks Learn More, they will also find the support detail about the final software update. And that's under Chromebook Settings, Additional Details page.
Thanks. Once I find out the end of life, how long can I use my Chromebook?
Essentially, after its end of life has passed, your Chromebook stops being able to support security/software updates released. You want to use a device that gets security updates to keep your information safe, and your favorite websites may eventually stop supporting the older version of the Chrome browser your Chromebook is using. You'll have plenty of time to decide whether to buy another one. The normal lifespan Google is saying it's between 6 to 7 years.
That's time enough. How large is the screen?
Well, the current models, they come anywhere from 11 to 15 inch. I personally have a 13 inch, which I find more than adequate for what I want. And the reason why I got the smaller screen is because I was interested in weight. The smaller the screens, the more compact they are and easier to carry around.
Here's another one. Somehow I keep touching something and all my open tabs disappear.
I personally have not experienced this problem, but when I make an inquiry, this is the answer I get. If you then drag again at the rightmost edge of your browser window, all tabs disappear. The same thing happens if you restart Google Chrome with a browser window that's wider than the screen. It starts with just the first active tab. No other tabs are visible. I'd also check my gestures. That's a setting that you can find out exactly what occurs when you do a 2-finger swipe or 3-finger swipe. And I haven't really checked those out, but I do know that when you're using your touchpad and the number of fingers you have on the touchpad kind of affects what occurs when you are moving around navigating around on the screen.
Is from a first-time user switching to Chrome. What are the steps to take in order to use Excel on the Chromebook? Does the Chromebook have backward compatible spreadsheets that supports Excel? Or is there an extension I have to install? And if so, how do I do it?
There are several answers to that question. First, you can use Sheets, which is part of Google Docs. This app is supposed to be compatible with Microsoft Excel. I can't say with any certainty that some of the special features in Excel will translate to Google Sheets. Second, you can download the Microsoft Office Android mobile apps, which has the functionality of the desktop program. Third, you can use the Chrome extension for Microsoft Office. And lastly, if you use the Google Remote Desktop, which is also is an extension, it will allow you to connect to a compatible, it will let you connect to a computer that uses Microsoft Excel. Options 2 and 3 require you to use Microsoft OneDrive. Installation of any of these options is to use the Google Play Store for both the Microsoft Office extensions. Google Docs are built into Chrome. Launch the Chrome browser. Sign into your Google account using your Gmail account password. Select Google Docs from the list.
Is there a printable list of Chromebook shortcuts, as I'm completely new to using my Chromebook?
Well, there's no guarantee that this is a complete list, but what I find is this printable version that you can go out on the website and print out for you. And the URL is support.google.com//answer/HL=EN.
Now, have you heard of microphone problems with HP Chromebooks? And if so, do you have any suggestions?
No, I haven't, but here's what I have found that may be a solution. This is on the HP support community page. And what they are saying here is, number one, open Chrome. Number two, at the top right, click More Settings. Number three, at the bottom, click Advanced. Number four, under Privacy and Security, click Content Settings. Number five, click Camera or Microphone. Number six, turn Ask Before Access on or off. Continue facing the issue, it's recommended that you turn off the Bluetooth and check if it helps.
Okay, here's one. What is the limitation of user account versus Chromebook account? Can we update our Chromebook from our user account?
Depends on what type of user you are. If you're the standard user, adding an additional user with full use privileges to a Chrome operating system is done by clicking on the plus add user text on the bottom of the left of the login screen. The new user will also need to use a Google account login device. A supervised supervised account is ideal for families who want to train a watchful eye on a child's internet activities. A Google account is not required for this account, as you're asked to set up a username and password. After adding the account, you will need to visit chrome.com/manage in order to set limitations to the sites and services the user can access, including approving requests by the user for you to grant access to additional sites. After clicking on the plus add user on the login screen, you'll find an option to add a supervised user on the right of the login prompt. click on the link and follow the prompts. If it's guest mode, this feature requires no additional setup or management. You only need to click on the Browse as Guest on the login screen to use it. Any guest user will then have full access to Chrome, where history, cookies, and forever forgotten after the guest browsing session ends. If the guest mode is not available, it's not an available option, you'll need to enable it using the device owner's account, launch Chrome, and enter Chrome/settings into the address bar. At the bottom of the page, you'll find options to manage user accounts where you can then enable guest mode.
And last but not least, can you use Microsoft Office extensions in your user account?
Yes, all you need to do is sign in with your Microsoft account, and you're all set.
And here's a comment that I can totally relate to. Chrome OS works great with the touchscreen, especially if you have fat fingers, and I certainly do when I'm trying to send a text message or anything. I am the queen of using the microphone. So again, Bill, thank you so much for your presentation, and I'm looking forward to you learning more about your Chromebook. And you know, I always have openings for VTC presentation. Thanks again.
Thanks, Judy. It was a pleasure. I always enjoyed giving these workshops.